roles and wraps-based clothing brand named Shama's. As a politician, she serves as a spokesperson of the Indian National Congress. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today.
That's a very old intro you have given. I don't have any of those. I'm only the chairperson of Zoya Charitable Trust at this point of time.
Okay.
Just make a correction on that.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, to begin with, since we are governance now,
including the national spokesperson of the Congress Party.
Absolutely.
I mean, no more I used to be working with a charitable organization called Deep Griha, where I was working as a dentist, pro bono. And of course, the other thing also, I was doing it to support karigars, the shawl business, basically.
Okay, sure, ma'am. Ma'am, since we are governance now and our focus is primarily on governance, the issue of governance, how do you rate the present day governance in our nation on a scale of 1 to 10?
2.
Okay. And reasons for the same?
Sorry?
Reasons for the same?
Well, let me ask you, where is governance? What is governance? Governance is when a number of people elect you to power, you need to govern them, isn't it? You had this COVID, if you look at it.
Yes.
All over the world, when this COVID happened, what did the governments around the world give? They gave 10% of their packages, 10% of GDP, 15% of GDP, 20% of GDP. What did India get? 1.5% of GDP. The 20 lakh crore package is just 1.5 crore.
The Atmanirbhar package.
Is there a problem with the... can you hear me?
No.
Okay, because
yes, completely.
So
yes,
1.5 lakh crore of the GDP, 1.5% of the GDP. Now let's look at that package. What at that point of time, the poor needed direct benefit, a direct transfer of money. None of them got it. The hospitality sector, which makes 7% of our GDP, did they get anything at all? I mean, I talked to taxi drivers. I talked to many of these hotels employ a lot of people in our country, if you look at it. Restaurants, cleaning boys, various services in a hotel. What did they get? Zilch, nothing. Even now, even in the budget also, there was nothing for them. What about our MSMEs, SMEs? I know people who opened restaurants 6 months before COVID. They had to close it down. They have a lot of rent to pay. They have to get, once they start opening, the rent due is still there. They have to pay it at the end of the day. They are unable to. They're not able to get loan because they've just given credit. That's what the government did. They are unable to get direct loans. So from any of these banks because they want collaterals. So there are issues in which the MSMEs did not get anything at all. Then the middle class with what happened in 2010, we deregulated petrol, if you remember. That means when the price goes up, we pay higher, the consumer. When the price goes down, we pay less. What did the Congress Party do when it was in 2011, $107 a barrel? We issued oil bonds and we saw to it that petrol was at around 70, 71 and diesel at 54. And we kept the excise duty for petrol at 9.2 and for diesel around 3.2. So that we were helping the consumers. Now, what happened in 2014? Just before we were leaving, it was 104 again. And again, with our excise duty and the oil bonds, we were able to keep the petrol price around 74 and 51, respectively, petrol and diesel. What happened in 2014 around June to around 2017-18, petrol prices hit rock bottom around the world. Oil per barrel, it went even down to $35 a barrel. We had it $50 a barrel. But what were we paying? 80 for petrol. Diesel was around 70. So when we have deregulated it, when the prices go down, why didn't the government give that to the consumers? They earned, due to this, 20 lakh crores. When we in the Congress Party asked for a white paper of that, where did you spend it? They say infrastructure. Give us, if you had said in your na khaunga na khane dunga.
Yes.
So we need to know where did it go. Be transparent. Now, every time the Congress Party has been pointed, in various of transparency, let's not forget the Congress Party. It is one of the biggest weapons of transparency. Who enacted the Lokpal? The Congress Party. They wanted, everybody was shouting for the Lokpal, including Arvind Kejriwal, the Bharatiya Janata Party. When did they appoint a Lokpal in the center? From 2014 after we enacted. Where is the Lokpal? isn't it? And if you clearly know, when Mr. Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he didn't want the Lokayukta. He went up to the Supreme Court to prevent the Lokayukta from coming. So these are the issues, is that when governance, and most of the time when the farmer bills were passed, all right, we passed it in Parliament, you have to have debate and discussion. When without debate and discussion, they pass it, they say, you know what, go to the Supreme Court. Is the Supreme Court the new government of the day? It is a legislation. It has to be, it's a bill passed by the government of the day. We need to discuss and debate about in Parliament. Why everything to the Supreme Court? Anything we ask as government, they say, go file a case in the Supreme Court. When it came to Rafale, we asked for a JPC. They say, go to the Supreme Court. You know, during our times, when we had issues and allegations against us, we were always ready for JPCs, even including Augusta Westland, if you recall. Mr. Anthony said, we're ready for a JPC. See, that is what we were completely transparent, but there is this idea around that, you know, the Congress government was not. No, Congress government was very transparent. And we, in fact, when any minister, there was an allegation, we would ask the minister to step down so that there is a transparent probe over there, you know, the transparent investigation. And we had the issue of the coal, the so-called coal allegations, the 3G, you remember 2G. What happened? What did the Supreme Court come out and say for 2G? There is no scam. Now, when you point fingers, you must show us how many of us have been convicted, how many of us have evidence in the government, you know. So when we were there, there was an average GDP of 8%, 8.2. We took 145 million people out of poverty. This is not what the Indian National Congress says or our government said. It is what the United Nations said from 2004 to 14. Everybody had jobs. We got in Food Security Act in 2011. So the people who are, no, Food Security Act is different from Manrega.
Yeah, I know. Food Security and Manrega, what I meant.
So those are the ones, you know, we wanted to help people who are very poor, who are at the bottom of that. Now, what did this government do? They do tax cuts for corporates. They write off NPAs, but they're not ready to write off farmers' loans. You remember in 2007, 2009, we wrote off 70,000 crore of farmer loans. What have this government done? They didn't do any of that sort of thing. The farmers who are annadatas are asking you for something. You've passed a bill without discussion. You go to the Supreme Court and file an affidavit saying that, you know what, we have discussed with various groups before promulgating the ordinance in June. When to an RTI reply, the government of the day, the Bharatiya Janata Party government, because they have to say the truth that time. They said there has been no discussions. Now, when you file an affidavit like that in the Supreme Court, isn't that, when you lie to the Supreme Court, isn't that contempt of court? So if you have not done discussions, then you know, the issue with the farmer bill is you did not discuss with anyone. You bulldozed it in Parliament. What is the function of Parliament? You saw what happened in Rajya Sabha. It was just a voice vote, no division vote. Members wanted it. You do not listen to anybody. You just do what you want to do. And the farmers, they're protesting. More than 100 of them have died. Did Mr. Modi say one word of condolence? I feel for y'all. I don't want y'all to die in this harsh cold. This is how a man with empathy would react. Like Mr. Manmohan Singh, when Anna Hazare was fasting during those days of the anti-corruption, so-called anti-corruption movement, what did he say? Humko chahiye aapka sehat. We don't want you to be, you know, we want your health. We want you. This is empathy. And then we finally enacted it. See, look at the Congress party. So governance is when everybody has money in, people are happy. There is, you know, people are having housings, people are having proper roads. People, they keep saying that we are building this, we are doing this. Now, for example, my question is, when petrol prices are so high, people are unemployed. What is the government supposed to do? Immediately lower the prices. People can't afford at this point.
But sorry to interrupt you, but the finance minister mentioned that it is a dharam sankat for them.
In which way, dharam sankat? Can you explain that to me?
I mean, she addressed a press conference and she mentioned that when questions were asked by the press regarding that, what would the government and the central and the state government do? Because 60% of your petrol prices is made up by the taxes, 54% of your diesel prices made up by the taxes. if you say that the oil producing nations, the crude oil prices are high, they are limiting the production. Now the demand in India has gone back due to a V-shaped recovery, as they suggest. uh, the only thing is cutting taxes, and when that was asked, the honorable finance minister mentioned about that it's a dharm sankat. So what do you have to say about that?
Because she doesn't understand economics. That's what I have to say about, she has no clue of economics. She just comes there and goes on talking things. I mean, this is what a government of empathy would do. You know that many people have no jobs right now. And unemployment has gone up to 9%. And we had the highest unemployment in 2018, 7%, 45-year high. So what I'm trying to say is that when you have such high unemployment, many businesses like small scale industries are shut still because they can't lift up. Where is the demand? When does demand come, my dear? When people have cash in their hands, isn't it? That's how an economy starts buzzing.
When disposable income is high.
Yeah, but you don't have money. When you don't have money in your hands, how the demand is going to go up high? So in a situation where there has been this unprecedented sort of disease and virus called COVID, what we need to do is help these people out by immediately cutting down prices. And the question is, they say we don't have, the government has no revenue. Then you stop a project like Central Vista. We're using 20,000 crores. Now, is my parliament more important? A new parliament? I'm sorry, a new parliament? We already have a parliament. Is that something of urgency? You divert the funds where it's needed. Give it to the people who really need money right now. I know people who have no money at home. People have lost. Also, there's been unemployment all over the world. We have a lot of NRIs, and they've also come back. So it is, I mean, just think about a house where there are just two kids, their school fees, their food. If they are paying the house EMI, a lot of people pay EMI and get their apartments, from drivers to auto rickshaw guys to anybody. What about them? It is not just about corporates, or not about three or four corporates. This is about your people. What have you done? Now, the basic thing, if they really fell for the people, I believe the petrol prices would grow. Look at the gas price. When we were there, it was 400. The non-subsidized, it's reached up to 800 odd. Look at that. What do you think? So this is what I would want you in the media to question this government on. Where is empathy? Why are you not reducing when we have deregulated it? You get what I'm trying to say? Before it was not, at least they can say it was not deregulated. It's deregulated after 2010. And we were so concerned about the people. Look at our excise duty. 9 rupees. From 9 rupees, it went to 19 and 15 respectively. 19 for last year.
But the economy has also changed.
No, 2020 to now, in 1 year, when we're going through this difficult situation, the excise duty goes from 19 odd to 33 for petrol and 15 odd to 32 for diesel. And diesel, when your farmers are all dependent on it, food prices will go up right now. They are very high.
Now, the counter that the government has given for it is that, because naturally these points are there in the media, but secondly, that the budget that was presented this particular February was a budget where a lot of capital expenditure, like close to 34% of the budget, was kept for capital expenditure, because we have just come out of the pandemic. Government has to spend more. Government has to spend more, for which it has to have that kind of reserves. Secondly, when we talk about the fact that 8 साल पहले ऐसा था या 10 साल पहले ऐसा था, लेकिन 10 साल पहले की इकोनॉमी भी अलग थी. 10 साल में एक भारत की इकोनॉमी भी काफी बढ़ गई है. तो उसके ऊपर आपका क्या कहना है?
क्योंकि 2014 के बाद भारत के जो इकोनॉमी है बंद हो गई. 2016 के बाद डिमोनेटाइजेशन, नोटबंदी के बाद क्या हो गया? बंद हो गया ना इकोनॉमी. जो छोटे मोटे सब बिजनेसेस बंद हो गई. आपने सोचा, उसके ऊपर आपने एक जीएसटी लगाया.
ये कहा गया कि आप फॉर्मल चैनल पे आइए, आप इनफॉर्मल तरीके से क्यों काम कर रहे हैं?
उन्होंने क्या कहा उस समय? उन्होंने कहा था कि जो आतंकवादी खत्म होंगे, जो ब्लैक काला दान खत्म होंगे, ठीक है, ये सब का, और जो करेंसी है, जो उसको क्या बोलते हैं, जो the ones which are not real, the currencies, I'm suddenly not getting the word.
The fake currency.
Fake currencies will all stop. All right. What happened? When we look at the statistics now, everything has gone up. There's still terrorism. You know what happened after 2016? How many terrorist attacks have happened? Uri. I can just go on with it. So what I'm trying to say is that you can't just do GST. Now, why don't action? This indirect taxation affects everybody. And you have these GSTs. If you're getting, a person who's selling a sari says, Madam, 18% GST है cotton के लिए, for example, and वो जो synthetic जो mix करते हैं या silk mix करते हैं उसके लिए 10 होंगे और या 8 होंगे. I'm just giving you an example of what he's saying. तो बहुत मुश्किल होंगे हमारे लिए. So, and also if you go to any of the things, when you buy something, you go to a salon, you go anywhere, there is the GST is very high, and there are multiple sets of GST. So why don't you do is direct taxation, increase that? That's what he said he wanted to do. But again, we are all paying indirect tax, a lot of it through GST. So that also multiple.
No, but direct tax is directly on the income of the individuals. If the country needs to raise the direct tax, then again it will not have disposable
income. Nobody is asking you to raise the direct tax. You have to collect from everybody the direct tax. No, make it wider. You're only collecting 4% right now. That's what people are not paying taxes. Nobody's asking. That's what. And in this budget, what did the middle class get? Was there any tax reprieve for them? Nothing. Middle class got nothing. You understand? Nothing. No tax cuts for them. Nothing. So the middle class is the one Mr. Modi gets his votes from. He does not do anything for them. They have lost. We have 12.2 crore jobs were lost last year. What is he doing for them? That is the question we need to know. Is that why didn't you give 10 or 15% or at least 10% of GDP with your 20 lakh crore package, which you mentioned is just 1.5 because most of the things are before. Yeah, that is the issue.
Do you support the idea that this particular union budget will get the fastest growing economy in the world, India, back on track and help the V-shaped recovery? Are you a fan of V-shaped recovery?
They have V, X, Y, when they are lost, there'll be all these things. They should go and study how a country should be run, the economics from 2004 to 14, how the GDP growth happened during that time, and we had the old method, they have the new method. And let's not forget, my dear, before COVID started, what was our GDP? 3.2%. It is not after COVID. And in the last 8 quarters, it was going down before COVID. So you can't see, the blame over here is not COVID. It is what happened before COVID. And look at what they've given for defense. Hardly anything. I mean, we had China at that time still. What is your defense budget? He talks himself. He says he's a nationalist. He wants this, he wants that for the army. Then increase the defense budget. 2018, one of the lowest defense budgets in 65 years. And you remember in the standing committee, they said that most of our weapons are vintage. So my question is that when, and you spoke about revenue, what about the 20 lakh crore they've collected in this excise duty? What have they done with that money? Then, and then you have something called a PM Care, which was supposed to be spent for COVID. Why such secrecy over a fund like that? Nobody can know RTI reply. Yes, it's a fund where you have the defense minister, you have the home minister, you have the prime minister on it, finance minister. Why should it be secret? These are all government employees, and then you have railways giving them 100 crores. You have the defense PSUs giving them 500 crores. I mean, these are all taxpayers' money. So every taxpayer has a right to know what you're doing with that, isn't it?
Now.
Nobody can question this government. You asked me about the questions. Nobody. If anybody questions, either they will have a UAPA over them, or they'll be put in jail, or they will have an income tax raid. They will have ED behind them. FIRs. Those sort of things are happening now.
Now the Congress party claims that democracy doesn't exist. And on the other hand, BJP claims that there is no democracy within your own party. That is within the Congress party. What do you have to say in this scenario?
Yeah, so in 2014, June, a man was made the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And what was happening to him at that point of time? He was not elected. His name is Amit Shah. He was appointed. And during that time, the CBI's case against him was not closed in the fake encounter Shohrabuddin case. It was still open. They didn't close the case. So you put a criminal as first of all, you appoint someone. Did you elect Amit Shah? No. He was appointed with the case on top of him. Did the Bharatiya Janata Party elect JP Nadda? No. So in our party, at least we have elections. You have seen that. We have, for our Congress president, we had an election. It's our internal party. We had an internal party. The party election was there. And that's how we have elected the Congress president. So first, you need to ask them questions about their appointments. Why is nobody asking, why is JP Nadda appointed? Who is JP Nadda? Where did he come from? Why don't you ask them? Why didn't they all elect somebody?
Hmm. Now, if we talk, Dr. Shama
And
Mohamed.
you see in our party, okay, sorry, continue.
No, please go
I,
ahead. Please go ahead.
I said in our party,
Hmm.
being in the party, can say there is democracy.
Hmm.
We are the, there everybody, even if you see when something happens, when Arnab Goswami was arrested, they were so upset that each one of them on their Twitter had a tweet which was similar to all of them had very similar tweets, including Amit Shah, Smriti Irani.
Do you feel that his arrest was an attack on press?
No, his arrest was for a suicide case. Let's remember that. There was a case, a man had committed suicide. There was a case against him regarding that because of non-payment of certain bills. Okay, you have to understand. But let me remind you of something. When Deepika Padukone's issue came, and there were charges, she had to be questioned because of WhatsApp messages of some 4 years ago. All right, they took that, the NCP. But when it came to Arnab Goswami, there were WhatsApp messages saying that there's something big happening in 3 days in Pulwama. Why haven't we investigated that? Why those WhatsApp messages? That's treason. We have to know who in the government gave him these messages. So these things are not questioned. That is the double, and then you have an NCB going after all these people, the manager of Deepika Padukone, because she had some amount of, supposed to have had marijuana. They have Pamela Goswami arrested, BJP youth leader in Calcutta, with nearly 100 grams of cocaine. Why is NCB, when is NCB not investigating it? We don't see NCB at all there. So these double standards have to stop.
The double standards, you believe
double standards. In one place you use WhatsApp messages, in the other place it's not applicable. In one place you use NCB for marijuana, but we all know what is cocaine, a bigger drug, but there is no NCB anywhere. Cocaine is this is what, so you're using, and then during this tenure of Mr. Modi, we saw judges come out and say democracy is in peril. We saw a CBI versus CBI. We've never seen that in the history of India, all these things.
Now, if we talk about, recently the government, Dr. Mohamed, came out with certain notifications and certain rules.
Sorry, I didn't hear who came out?
Government.
Yeah.
Regarding regulating digital news and OTT platforms. Content over OTT platforms and content over your social media, in order to stop spread of fake news, as well as in order to stop any anti-national propaganda. Your thoughts on the same?
So, see, if this I feel is to suppress all those social media, the media platforms, the digital news platforms on telling the truth. They are the only ones now able to say what they want to say. And number two, then you have to also contain people like Amit Malviya, who comes out with the maximum number of fake news. We all know what all fake news he comes out. Even during the Delhi riots, they were fake news. And then you have people like Kapil Mishra, who comes on air saying, JNU ke gaddaro ko goli maro salo ko, AMU ke gaddaro ko goli maro salo ko. It's there on video. And when they ask him about the incitement of last year on 23rd of February, he says, I will do it again. Has he been arrested? See, you have to have same rules for everybody. You have, you can't have one set of rules for one person, one party, and another set of rules. So there is a lot of fake news coming from them, their party, and nobody points a finger at those things, And I've taken the example of Mr. Malviya, who day in and day out puts fake news. And I recall during the Delhi riots, for example, Parvesh Verma, what did he say? That these people who are protesting will come to your homes and will rape your mother and your sisters. I mean, what sort of language is that? And as soon as he finished that, for the motion of thanks at that point of time, last year, he was the one who started it. So it shows that the Bharatiya Janata Party government approves these sort of things. You remember Muhammad Akhlaq's murderer, or so-called Kailashnath. What did Mr. Mahesh Sharma do? Put the national flag on him. Who is Mr. Mahesh Sharma to put a national flag on somebody like that? What is it trying to say? We know what Prime Minister said, Khabristan versus Shamshan Ghat. Division everywhere.
Now, since you're talking about division, but India is one of the most secular countries. And, we have a secular fabric, and our population of the minorities is far greater than most of the countries which are not even secular. And we are all proud of the fact that India is a secular nation. Do you believe that the secular fabric is under threat?
Of course, very much. I mean, look at the case of Mr. Siddiq Kapan. Why is he in jail? He has a UAP over him. He went to cover Hathras. There can only be one reason. You saw a comedian called Faruqi. He didn't even crack the joke. The police said there's no evidence he's cracked the joke. There's no evidence, they said. But he was in jail for more than 30 days. What is the show? Be fair to all, is what we say. India was till 2014. But now there is a lot of fear. Nobody can say anything. There is a lot of fear out there, and also arrests of people. Now, if you look at the Delhi riots, the people who should be arrested, like Kapil Mishra, are still roaming around free. He's incited. It's very clear. It's there on air, no? Why is he not arrested? Who have they arrested? Go and check out the list of people who have been arrested. So, I don't want to get into all of these sort of communal sort of politics, which I'm not, I don't believe in communal politics. I believe we are all Indians. I will have an ideology. The Bharatiya Janata Party person will have an ideology, but we differ with our ideology. We are not enemies of each other. That is what I believe. We can have an argument, but Indians cannot be Indians' enemy. We have to stand together in this country. See, you have to understand this country is one of the, I think there is no country like India with different languages, different customs, different religions, different food habits from each one state.
Diverse nation.
Diverse nation, and we are together. You have to understand. We can't. And whereas this Bharatiya Janata Party does divide and rule, Hindus and Muslims, Dalits and high caste, it's day in and day out. That is how they go ahead in their. So if we need to, we don't. Now, for example, just take the case of Delhi riots. It happened in Delhi when a president of another country, Rashtrapati of America, was here for 4 days, 4 to 5 days. Should have been controlled on the second day. What is the image we give? We could have called in the army. What is that home minister doing? The history of India, there's never been a home minister like this. In Red Fort has been breached. You have high security. The farmers are coming. You put your security in place. That was breached. Whose responsibility is that? The Home Minister. We see Komal Sharma and her goons of ABVP thrashing the JNU students, getting into women's hostel with men for 3 hours. Police are bystanders. Have they caught them? No. So these are the instances where the Home Minister fails. So it's about, the way the Delhi police picked up Disha Ravi without transit remand, going there, the magistrate giving police custody for her for 5 days without a counsel. I mean, what is this? You're going to another state, and the Bangalore police clearly says that they just picked her up. There was no woman police officer at that point of time. So these are all. So what you do is, what we want is, if there is something happening, irrespective of party, if there is somebody doing something against our country, if there is any sort of conspiracy, Shariyantra, get them, whoever it is, but not us and them.
Now, if we talk about the election happening in various states, and if we talk about Kerala, how confident is the Congress party of winning Kerala once again, as compared to the Communist Party, who have ruled Kerala?
We are very confident because the Communist Party has done nothing in the last 5 years. If you ask them about one development work, they have not done anything. Policy is nothing. I mean, they have just carried on what, like, for example, a Kannur airport is what we started, and it was just last minute things to finish off. They finished it off. Gale pipelines, which we laid, when we were laying it, they protested against it. And now they are doing the same thing. Now we have bypass roads coming. Most of our roads in the northern part of Kerala used to go through cities. So we have bypass, which we asked for. At that point, they protested and said, no, you cannot take land away from people. Now they are doing exactly that. So, and then political murders. The first time, I'm sure, in the history of India, a government pays the advocates of the murderers. So 3 of our cadres, the Congress cadres, were murdered, slaughtered basically. And the state government is using taxpayers' money of 2 crores to pay the lawyers of the murderers. Have you heard of it? Because they don't want it to go to a CBI, the probe. So from High Court, it went to Supreme Court. One case of Sharat Lal and Kripesh were murdered, our Congress youth cadres. It's a CBI probe now. The other one is lying in Supreme Court. But look at the government. So they have many such issues happening here. Then we have these PSC exams, which people clear the exams, more than 3,000 people, but they haven't got their jobs because there's lateral entry to the cadres of the Communist Party. And they have made the jobs now official. So these people who work hard and write the exams don't get it. But who gets it? Not anybody from lateral entry, only their cadres.
Mm-hmm.
Then they signed an ME. I mean, I can go on if you want about Kerala. So we are quite confident that we will come back,
You will retain Kerala.
Come back because it was with them.
Yeah.
So they are right now in power, the LDF. So we are the UDF.
Now, finally, like to ask that why there is so much of dissent, even from the senior leaders in the grand old party of Congress. We've seen the letter, we've seen about the signatories of the letter. Congress is the grand old party. Why there is so much dissent?
I'm sorry, I'm just going to say a few words on that. There is no dissent or something. It's just about certain issues which they've clearly said. And discussion happened about it, and that's about it, and that's where I will stop. That it was not, you can't call it dissent. See, that's why you asked about internal democracy in our party.
Yes, I did. Has the screen frozen?
Yes.
There must be some internet issue at her end.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll just have to wait till it comes back. Dr. Mohammad, are you able to connect? I guess we have lost our connection.
Yes, I'm calling her.
Yeah, I believe that she might try to join in again. We'll just wait for a few more seconds.
Connecting back, sir.
Connected, yeah, sure. She's connecting back?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll wait then. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Ma'am, you're on mute. Can you please unmute?
Because I was told it was from 3 to 3:30.
Yes. So that was my last question.
Yeah.
About the fact that you were
coming. We have internal democracy.
Yes.
At it. See, that's a simple thing. Have you heard of anybody saying anything to Mr.? They are all frightened sitting out there. He decides everything. He's a supreme leader right now. He does what he wants. He doesn't care petrol prices go up, go down, because he feels he's the supreme leader. And that is the issue. You have to listen to the people, and you have to understand the farmers' issue. So many of them have died. Did he even say one word? Did he go to the single border? Did he? No. And you have to understand, these farmers during the Green Revolution were with us. We had the Green Revolution because of them. So from that to many of the Javans are the sons of Kisans. Let's not forget that also, you know. So empathy is completely lacking. There's no governance. You know, if they say minimum governance, I don't see any sort of, what was it?
Minimum government, maximum governance.
Maximum governance. There's nothing like that happening. There is berozgari right now, unemployment, price rise of food, you know, lot of price rise, unable to get houses, EMIs, they have to pay. A lot of these issues are happening. Most of the MSMEs still shut, not yet open. The issues which have for hospitality sector. So, you know, all the people out there, the poor, there is no support system for the poor in this government compared to the UPA. You know, like you said, Manrega. And remember, he mentioned about Manrega. It's a 60-year waste. I'm going to remove it in the parliament speech. And the maximum number of jobs given, I mean, people got the income after COVID came in was through Manrega.
So you believe that, you know, the way like to, you know, sum it up in a fashion where you mentioned that you rate the governance of this nation at 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. And there is, according to you, there has to be a lot more empathy towards the public and the issues that concern them. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohamed, for joining us on this episode this afternoon of Visionary Talks by Governance Now. It was a complete pleasure hosting you. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for also joining us. It was indeed a very nice discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohamed. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much.